On January 1st, 1804, a new nation was born from the crucible of revolution forged in the fires of rebellion against colonial slavery Haiti. The first modern state founded and governed by formerly enslaved people, a black republic in a world of European empires. Its existence sent shockwaves across the Atlantic, inspiring hope among the oppressed and stoking fear among the powerful today, as we commemorate October 10th, 2025. One critical question animates debate. To what extent did Haiti materially assist African liberation movements? This question touches the nature of international solidarity and the legacy of the first successful slave revolt. First, make a crucial distinction: symbolic support versus material aid. They are fundamentally different, but often conflated. Ideological diplomatic. The power of an idea, the weight of a public declaration, the impact of a vote on the world stage. Material aid, tangible and concrete money, weapons, training troops. Other physical resources. Haiti's history shows powerful symbolic support for anti-colonial struggles. Its flag was a banner of possibility for black people everywhere. Claims of substantial material aid are harder to substantiate. The historical record is often thin. Passed down stories are challenging to corroborate. From its inception, Haiti was under siege. Economic embargoes, diplomatic isolation, crippling debt. These pressures limited its capacity to project power or provide large-scale assistance. Leaders may have felt deep sympathies for African struggles. A careful, nuanced approach is required to separate signal from story. Examine available evidence critically. Note where the record is strong and where it's silent. This essay will explore Haitian support, symbolic role, archival gaps, informal aid networks, national myths. By examining diplomatic isolation, indirect influence through intellectual and political channels, and avenues for future research, we can reach a balanced, historically grounded conclusion about Haiti's legacy in the global fight for freedom. The most profound and undeniable form of support that Haiti offered to the world was its very existence. In an era when the pseudoscience of racial hierarchy was used to justify the bondage of millions, the Haitian Revolution stood as a monumental refutation of that ideology. It was a living, breathing testament to the fact that enslaved Africans could not only break their chains, but could also defeat the most powerful armies of Europe and establish their own sovereign nation. This singular achievement resonated far beyond the shores of Hispaniola, becoming a powerful symbol of black freedom and self-determination. For enslaved people in the Americas and colonized people in Africa, Haiti was more than a country. It was a promise, a beacon of hope that illuminated the path toward liberation and demonstrated that a different future was possible. This symbolic power was actively cultivated and disseminated by Haitian leaders and intellectuals throughout the 19th century, the 20th century. They understood that their nation's story was its greatest asset on the world stage. Figures like President Jean-Pierre Boyer offered asylum to freedom fighters, reinforcing Haiti's role as a sanctuary for those fleeing oppression. Later, Haitian diplomats and thinkers became central figures in the burgeoning Pan-African movement. They attended international congresses, wrote impassioned articles, and used their platforms to advocate for the dignity and sovereignty of all African peoples. Their presence at these gatherings was not merely ceremonial. It was a powerful reminder that a black-led state had a seat at the table, lending legitimacy and historical weight to the broader anti-colonial cause. The Haitian flag itself became an emblem of black pride and resistance. Its colors, adopted in defiance of the French tricolor, were a visual representation of the break with colonial domination. Across the Caribbean and beyond, the story of Haiti was told and retold, inspiring countless acts of resistance, both large and small. Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Henri Christophe were transformed into legendary figures. Their names were invoked in songs, prayers, and political speeches by those fighting for their own freedom. This ideological contagion, the spread of the idea that liberation was attainable, was perhaps Haiti's most enduring contribution. It was a form of assistance that required no ships or soldiers, but moved with immeasurable force across oceans and continents. This moral and ideological leadership provided a crucial foundation for the later decolonization movements in Africa. Mid-20th century African nationalists drew from a long tradition of black internationalist thought in which Haiti held a place of honor. The Haitian example provided a historical precedent, a counter-narrative to the colonial claim that Africans were incapable of self-government. It armed future leaders with a powerful argument and a source of collective pride. While one cannot draw a straight line from the Haitian Revolution to the independence of Ghana or Nigeria, it is impossible to understand the intellectual and psychological landscape of the anti-colonial struggle without acknowledging the long shadow cast by this first Black Republic. Haiti's symbolic importance is well documented. The quest for evidence leads historians into a much murkier landscape. One of the most significant obstacles is the condition of the archives themselves. Haiti's national records have suffered from a long history of political instability, natural disasters, institutional neglect, fires, floods, periods of turmoil, destruction or loss of vast quantities of official documents, presidential papers, diplomatic correspondence, financial ledgers. This archival silence makes it incredibly difficult to definitively prove or disprove claims of state-sponsored aid. When the paper trail runs cold, historians are left with gaps that cannot easily be filled. Any material assistance that might have been provided was likely clandestine, deliberately kept off the official books to avoid provoking the wrath of powerful colonial empires. A young, vulnerable nation like Haiti would have understood the extreme risks involved. Such actions would have invited swift and devastating retaliation. Consequently, if any support was given, it would have been channeled through informal covert networks. Private citizens, sympathetic merchants, secret arrangements. Historians are then forced to rely on more elusive sources, such as personal letters, diaries, oral histories. These sources are often difficult to verify and can be prone to exaggeration. The very nature of this potential aid complicates the search. Material support might not have taken the form of large shipments of weapons or chests of gold. It could have been much smaller in scale. A Haitian merchant ship carrying a few undeclared rifles in its hold, a small donation from a private benevolent society, the provision of passage for an activist traveling to Europe. The challenge for the researcher is to piece together these fragments without overstating their significance, to acknowledge the possibility of hidden connections without building a grand theory on a foundation of sand. This archival haze requires a methodology of caution and precision. Historians must be transparent about the limitations of their sources. When a claim is based on a single letter or a second-hand account, its provisional nature must be clearly stated. The absence of evidence, while not evidence of absence, should temper bold assertions about large-scale, state-directed material support. Instead of searching for a smoking gun document that may not exist, trace the web of personal and commercial connections that linked Haiti to the wider African diaspora. It is within these intricate, often informal networks that the truest story of Haitian material solidarity, however modest, is most likely to be found. Every nation constructs stories about its past to foster a sense of identity, pride, and purpose. These national narratives are powerful forces that shape collective memory, often blending historical fact and heroic myth. In the case of Haiti, a nation born from an epic struggle against overwhelming odds, the temptation to create and perpetuate inspiring legends is particularly strong. The story of Haiti providing substantial clandestine aid to distant African liberation movements is a compelling one. It frames the nation not just as a symbol of freedom, but as an active, selfless participant in a global struggle against oppression. This narrative serves to bolster national pride and reinforce Haiti's status as a leader within the African diaspora, a role it has long cherished. Over time, these stories can take on a life of their own, growing in scale and detail with each retelling. A simple act of diplomatic recognition or a letter of encouragement from a Haitian president to an African leader can, through the alchemy of national memory, be transformed into a tale of secret military expeditions and vast financial contributions. These myths are not necessarily born from a desire to deceive. Rather, they emerge from a deeply felt need to connect Haiti's own revolutionary origins to the broader arc of Black liberation. They fulfill a psychological function and a political function, creating a usable past that inspires present and future generations. However, for historians, the task is to respectfully disentangle the myth from the verifiable fact. The process of myth-making is often fueled by a lack of concrete information. In the archival voids discussed earlier, legends can flourish. When documentary evidence is scarce, oral traditions and popular accounts become the primary sources of historical knowledge. While these traditions are invaluable for understanding a community's self-perception, they are not always reliable guides to empirical events. A story passed down through generations may preserve the emotional truth of a historical moment, feeling of solidarity, hope for connection, while embellishing the specific details of what actually occurred. The historian's role is not to dismiss these stories, but to analyze them as cultural artifacts in their own right, asking why they emerged and what purpose they serve. Therefore, when encountering claims of significant Haitian material aid to Africa, it is crucial to apply rigorous source criticism. One must ask, where does this story come from? Is it based on a contemporary document, such as a government record ship's log participant's diary, or does it appear in later accounts, such as memoirs written decades after the fact, political speeches, secondary histories that do not cite primary sources? By tracing the provenance of a claim, we can often identify the point at which a small historical event may have been magnified into a larger myth. This critical approach does not diminish Haiti's legacy. On the contrary, it allows for a more accurate and ultimately more powerful appreciation of its true and documented contributions to world history. To understand the limits of Haiti's ability to project power abroad, one must first grasp the profound and sustained hostility it faced from the international community following its independence. The very existence of a free Black republic was an existential threat to the slaveholding economies of the United States, Great Britain, France, and Spain. In response, these empires imposed a crippling diplomatic and economic quarantine on the young nation. For decades, they refused to formally recognize Haiti's sovereignty, hampering its ability to engage in normal trade and diplomacy. This forced isolation was designed to make an example of Haiti, to ensure that the contagion of slave rebellion did not spread. This geopolitical straitjacket severely restricted Haiti's capacity to act as a major player on the world stage, let alone as a military benefactor to movements an ocean away. A nation struggling under such a crushing financial weight was simply not in a position to fund foreign liberation movements. Internally, Haiti was also contending with the immense challenges of post-revolutionary state building. The war for independence had devastated the country's agricultural infrastructure, the foundation of its economy. The new nation had to reconstruct itself from the ashes while navigating deep political divisions, regional conflicts, and a series of leadership struggles. Successive governments were preoccupied with consolidating their authority, defending the nation's borders against potential foreign invasion, and managing a fractured society. These domestic priorities naturally and necessarily consumed the attention and resources of the Haitian state. While leaders may have harbored Pan-Africanist sympathies, the urgent and ever-present demands of governing at home left little room for ambitious foreign interventions. While direct material aid from Haiti to Africa remains largely unsubstantiated, the nation's indirect influence was both real and significant. This influence flowed through diplomatic channels, Intellectual channels, cultural channels creating ripples that contributed to the broader tide of anti-colonialism. In the 20th century, Haiti gained a seat in international forums, League of Nations, United Nations. It used its platform to advocate for decolonization. Haitian diplomats consistently called for self-determination for colonized peoples. Each vote cast in favor of an anti-colonial resolution, each speech condemning imperial rule, was a small but meaningful act of solidarity. These actions lent legitimacy to the African nationalist cause and showed that a black nation could speak for its brethren on the world stage. The intellectual connections between Haiti and Africa were equally vital. Haitian thinkers helped develop Pan-Africanism negritude. Figures like Baron de Vaste-Antenor Firmin, whose 1885 book, The Equality of the Human Races, was a landmark refutation of scientific racism, laid an intellectual foundation for black pride and political assertion. Later, Haitian writers, poets, scholars engaged in a vibrant dialogue with African and diaspora counterparts. Ideas were published in journals, discussed at conferences, forging a shared consciousness and a common political language against white supremacy and colonial domination. One clear example is Benito Sylvain, organizer of early Pan-African congresses. Sylvain traveled extensively, served as aide-de-camp to Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia, and worked to build connections between Haiti, Ethiopia, and emerging anti-colonial movements. He embodied the Haitian emissary, a bridge builder carrying his nation's revolutionary legacy into African political thought. The work of people like Sylvain shows a form of support not about guns or money, but about building networks and ideas that fueled independence movements. This indirect influence, though less dramatic than secret military aid stories, was more far-reaching and consequential. By shaping ideological arguments for freedom, providing a working model of black sovereignty, and participating in patient international diplomacy and intellectual exchange, Haiti made a crucial contribution to the eventual downfall of colonialism in Africa. It played to Haiti's strengths, its revolutionary heritage, its intellectual capital, and its unique position as the hemisphere's first black republic. This current of influence flowed beneath grand politics, nourishing the roots of liberation movements across the globe. For any historian, student, or interested individual seeking to delve deeper into the question of Haiti's support for African liberation, a systematic and source-based approach is essential. The journey must begin in the archives, the primary repositories of historical evidence. A crucial first stop would be the Archives Nationales d'Haïti in Port-au-Prince, despite their known challenges. Within these collections, search for presidential correspondence. Search for records from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Search for any surviving legislative or financial documents. Focus on key periods, particularly the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Finding a direct order to send aid may be unlikely, but letters expressing solidarity or records of diplomatic exchanges could provide invaluable context and leads. The search must then extend beyond Haiti's borders. Consult the National Archives of African Nations, Ethiopia, Ghana, Senegal. The papers of nationalist movements like the African National Congress. Records of political parties that might reference Haitian individuals or groups. Archives of former colonial powers. French archives, Nationales d'Outre-mer. British National Archives. Diplomatic dispatches from agents in Haiti might report on rumored activities or perceived threats. These offer an external, albeit biased, perspective on Haiti's foreign relations and sympathies. International organizations also hold key records. League of Nations Archives in Geneva, United Nations Archives in New York, voting records, transcripts of speeches, proposals submitted by the Haitian delegation, proceedings of the Pan-African Congresses held between 1900 and 1945, documents that explicitly name Haitian participants like Benito Sylvain, records of the resolutions and debates that shaped the movement. Finally, move to a personal level. Biographies, Memoirs. Private papers of key figures. Personal correspondence of Haitian intellectuals. Personal correspondence of Haitian diplomats. Personal correspondence of Haitian presidents. Correspondence of African nationalist leaders. Search university archives holding papers of Pan-Africanist scholars and activists. Review historical newspapers. Le Moniteur, Negro World, Public Opinion, editorials, news reports that shed light on Haiti's relationship with African causes. This multi-sided, multilingual research is painstaking, but it is the only way to build a history grounded in evidence rather than aspiration. In conclusion, the legacy of Haiti's role in African liberation is both profound and complex, a tapestry woven with threads of powerful symbolism, undeniable intellectual kinship, and frustratingly elusive material evidence. When we weigh the different forms of support, the scales tip heavily toward the moral, ideological, and diplomatic. The strongest and most verifiable claims are those that center on Haiti as a beacon of inspiration. Its successful revolution provided an enduring and powerful counter-narrative to colonial ideologies of racial inferiority, and furnished a potent symbol of black sovereignty that fueled the imaginations of anti-colonial thinkers and activists for over a century. The nation's active participation in the Pan-African movement and its diplomatic advocacy for decolonization in international forums are also well documented and represent a significant tangible contribution. Conversely, the weakest claims are those that allege large-scale, state-sponsored military or financial campaigns to aid African liberation movements. While appealing in their heroic scope, these narratives are not supported by the currently available archival evidence. The immense external pressures of diplomatic isolation, economic strangulation, and the state's internal challenges created a reality in which such ambitious undertakings were simply not feasible. This does not mean that no material support ever crossed the Atlantic, but it suggests that any such aid was likely small-scale, informal, and clandestine, leaving a faint, if not invisible, documentary footprint. The desire for these stories to be true should not override the historian's duty to the evidence at hand. Haiti's story serves as a crucial reminder that assistance and solidarity can manifest in many forms. The power of an idea can, in the long run, be as transformative as an army. The courage to speak truth in a diplomatic hall can echo farther than a gunshot. Haiti's most potent weapon was its own history. It offered a blueprint for freedom and a permanent source of pride that could not be blockaded or embargoed. Its intellectual and political engagement in the broader black world helped to build the ideological foundations upon which future independence movements would be built. These contributions are not lesser than material aid. They are simply different, and in many ways, they were the most effective contributions Haiti was in a position to make. Ultimately, the question of how Haiti helped demands a nuanced answer that rejects simplistic binaries. The nation's gift to Africa was not primarily one of treasure or troops, but of possibility. For researchers and historians, the path forward is clear. Continue the patient work of archival research, tracing the faint lines of connection in letters, ship logs, and diplomatic cables. New discoveries may yet add detail and texture to our understanding of informal aid networks. But as the evidence stands today, Haiti's greatest legacy remains its unwavering symbolic presence as the first free black republic, a North Star in the long and arduous global journey toward freedom and self-determination. Its story is a testament to the enduring power of hope against overwhelming odds.